Hey everybody, welcome to What Drives Us, episode 147 for July 8th, 2015. My name is Russell Frost, and you can't see me for some reason. We are just having a lot of odd little technical things here tonight. But nonetheless, we're going to go on bravely as we do every week. This week we have a very special guest with us. I'll introduce him in just a moment. But for now, our man from Oregon.
Hello from Oregon. Oh, sorry, I jumped in too soon there.
I was too dramatic. Pause.
Yeah, you threw me off. That's a great dramatic pause, though, Russell.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Patrick Connor from Oregon, where as of July 1st, we have 5,000 people that are now paying 1.5 cents per mile instead of paying the gas tax, and that's a horrible thing.
That makes me sad.
Yes.
And our very special guest, which we have for the entire show, I don't know that he's actually appreciates what he's walked into, is Ryan Tabrah from Intel. He is the senior product manager for, I'm going to forget, it's for transportation solutions. And he is here to talk about what Intel is doing in the area that we love. We're hoping that Paul Guzik will be with us. He's fighting some technical problems himself, so he may join us as the show progresses. But Ryan, welcome to What Drives Us.
How's it going? Thanks for having me on the show.
I can't tell you how much we appreciate you taking the time to come on and talk. First off, let's get an idea of what you do at Intel.
So I'm a product manager, as you said, in the Transportation Solutions Division, which is also part of the Internet of Things group, which is a business unit within Intel. And we focus on delivering solutions to automotive, to transportation, and to connected logistics, right? So pretty much plane, trains, and automobiles are my life. And I personally own anything that is a product based on our core Atom platforms.
And Atom just is the mobile. Is the power efficient mobile processor that you
That's
got?
correct. Yeah, it's kind of a slightly lower CPU performance, but as far as lithography and power efficiency, it's top notch and leading edge. And we're working with a variety of companies, several automotive leaders like Magneti Marelli, Harman, BMW, Porsche, Jaguar Land Rover, Fiat Chrysler Auto, which is FCA, Ford, and GM. We work very closely with them and others to make sure that Intel helps them build the best auto parts in the world, and then also integrating Intel technology into cars that are shipping.
So do you provide like made-to-order modules of processing power for those companies?
That's correct, yeah. So they take a derivative of one of our products that's auto-grade quality. So we take one of our existing chips and then go through additional steps to manufacture it to auto-grade. It's a different type of quality control. And depending on the customer, their use case, their vertical, and their market, they integrate into their baseboards, whether they're delivering on an IVI solution, so maybe it's just the infotainment selection in their car, to what we call the software-defined cockpit, where they replace the cluster from having physical dials to just a screen, and then all the way to what we call soft ADAS, which is autonomous driving, all the way to eventually fully featured autonomous driving vehicles.
Wow, that's quite a spread of products.
Yeah, you listed a whole lot of stuff there.
Yeah. So obviously you customize some of these products for some of these companies. Like you say, you take a basic chip and then maybe you'll modify it or add something to it so that it fits that car company's needs. Is that correct?
Partly. It depends on the car company again. We do offer what we call compute modules that are built around our SoC that have special auto-grade components like memory and power, because of course a system on a chip. Sorry, death by acronyms here at Intel. So
I actually.
yeah, I know. Yeah. All right. Smart, Alex. I did listen to your previous shows. I forgot
Oh
you guys were
yeah,
into
that's
smart,
part of our
Alex.
kids. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Do you want
right.
me to apologize right now for Patrick? Ryan? I'm
No,
sorry.
it's okay. It's okay. I'll just mute him. Can't I do that?
Feel free to pretend.
Yeah. Uh, so pretty much some of our customers take our system on a chip or SoC as is and build their own modules and their own baseboards. I mean, there's several public sites that do pretty interesting teardowns on the current generation of cars out there, and you can see a wide variety of what people are using across different types of vehicles. So much like Will It Blend or unboxing of certain mobile products, there's a whole group of folks that tear apart their own cars and see what chips are being used for different areas of the cars.
Wow, I had no idea. I feel really dumb because I've seen those teardowns of computers and other devices, but not in cars. And you would think I had. So I guess what I'm sort of trying to get at is so do you also have like something as mundane as a catalog of products that a car company could come to you and go, we want one of these, we need 10,000 of those, we need 50,000 of these.
When you work with the car industry, right now they're buying the parts for the cars that ship in 2018, 2019, right? So the catalog is sometimes talking about future products that we don't even have public yet, right? So that's the delicate balance that we work with, or that they're just becoming public and known. By the time 2018 rolls around, we will have a different Atom step or a different Atom chip that's out on the market, right, than the one that we know today. For instance, most people know that I think a current gen Atom, and I sadly don't know the external marketing term, but it's our Bay Trail platform, right? So we do have developer boards, and I brought one here. These are developer kits that current developers or manufacturers can use to test out certain Intel-based solutions in their cars, whether they want to do IVI, software-defined cockpit, or early iterations of autonomous driving, right? So inside of here is pretty much a full computer that is automotive grade, hardened, and pretty bulletproof. It's pretty amazing. And then with all the industrial and automotive connectors in the back to be able to plug into certain automotive designs.
So is Intel just a hardware provider for this stuff? I mean, like if I go buy a Windows or a Linux box, it's running someone else's operating system. How much software does Intel have in there?
Yeah, it's a great question, Patrick. A lot of people don't realize that Intel is one of the largest software companies in the world. Literally, our division that builds software has a rich history of driving innovation both in the open source community, across the Linux platforms, Android, and then, of course, Windows. And I think that's why a lot of the automotive companies and businesses are moving towards Intel because of all the tool sets that are existing there, the expectations from the consumer, integrating with a multitude of different mobile devices, their laptops, their computers, and then the Internet of what I call important things being consolidated into a car where you need a lot of compute power to be able to just do everything that you expect around the next generations of vehicles.
Yeah, you don't think of Intel. You can't go buy boxed Intel software off the shelf, right?
Right.
You mentioned a lot of things that we contribute to. We as Intel, I mean, and it's not real intuitive that there's Intel software in a lot of that stuff.
That's right. I think we are one of the leading contributors to the overall open source Linux stack. Most of our automotive solutions start with a Linux base. Of course, we have to provide the drivers and the firmware, the BIOS, the bootloaders, and everything to make sure that there's fast boot capabilities. And of course, the security features are very, very important in this industry. So with some of the same software solutions that we have on our end devices for laptops and mobile solutions and even servers are being implemented in the Internet of Things space again, for important items like medical, robotics, industrial, manufacturing, and then automotive. It's definitely revolutionizing what they can do, and they're pushing us to see what can be delivered, right?
I like the Internet of important things. Yeah, not those not important things.
Right. Well, I think it's funny that we focus on, watches and connected clothing and a connected toaster, but at the end of the day, there are very important things that are going to change our lives in the future, making cars safer and cheaper to run, the infrastructure, more reliable to get around day to day is a big deal, and it's going to change a lot of the way that people interact and live, right?
I want to take a quick break here, and Paul Guzik is with us, but he's only here in audio. So, hey, Paul.
Hey, everybody. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Hey, Paul.
Yeah.
I'm having some technical difficulties with my camera.
Why?
Because I'm not on my normal computer.
Oh, okay.
So
There we go.
I thought I could make it work.
You're
but
a
I'm
little
here,
quiet.
and let me move my microphone. Is that
There
better?
we go.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Ryan was talking about these car teardown sites where they gut a car and tell you all the little bits and pieces that are in there. And you being in the mechanic industry, I'm sure you've seen those.
Yeah, I've seen some. There's like Idaho National Labs has done a bunch of Prius teardowns, and I forget there's a couple other ones. Haven't seen anything directly related to infotainment type stuff, but some of the major components on the car, inverters, ECMs, that kind of stuff.
Well, I think with the advent of some of these infotainment systems combining and coalescing into some of the brains of what the car actually does, I think there'll probably be more of an interest in some of these things, right? So.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So,
and I have a question for Ryan.
please.
Sorry, I missed a bit of the introduction. Please tell me you have nothing to do with Entune on the Prius platform.
I personally had known nothing about that, and I have nothing to do with it. So.
All right.
One of our favorite things to hate on, yes.
Yeah. Actually, Ryan mentioned a bunch of companies that Intel works with, and oddly enough, Toyota was not one of them.
Yeah. Well, too bad for Toyota.
Yeah, well, yeah. We say that a lot. We love them, but, we wish for the best for them. Anyway, I want to get back to this the system on chip, the SoC thing, and you guys as a software developer, and forgive me if this is a really grade D question, but so obviously you're writing software for that system as well. I mean, not all of it. Some of it is hardware, but some of it is also software that's embedded in the chip.
That's correct. There's different layers of software that has to be provided. We actually lump it together in a kind of a board support package. It's very similar to what we already have been delivering for ultrabook designs, tablet designs, phone designs, and even server designs. What it comes with is all the tools you need as a system developer, regardless if you're a tier 1 or you're just a middleware provider. How do you optimize your software? How do you make your stuff look good on Intel quickest, right? And how do you make sure that it runs across different types of Linux generations and be able to tweak it to the way that you create a value add with either your middleware or your feature set for your stack. So sometimes we provide examples all the way up to the user space of software, but then there's the middleware stack where, of course, we add special key features for feature technology. And then, of course, the drivers that need to be optimized, especially on the graphics side, are all there, ready to roll, and people just use them as is.
Right, and it's sort of because you don't see it, you're not putting a disk in, you're not loading it. It's there, it's built into the hardware. I think it's invisible.
That's right, and and maintaining it and updating it and making sure that it's robust, long-term, and auto-grade quality is a big part of the job we do. So absolutely, I tell people a lot of times a lot of the software Intel builds is a lot like the bass player in a band. You would notice if it's gone, right? but you don't always notice the bass player in the band. And you also really recognize when there is man, that band's really good. And you realize it's because the bass player is pretty rock solid, right? So it's the foundation of the band. So if you equate to putting together one of these systems, like putting together a really good group of musicians, we're definitely the foundation on the software side. I happen to be a bass player, by the way, so.
I was going to say, I play a little bass. Obviously, our theme music is from a bass player, so.
I actually was sitting there going, I wonder if he did that himself, or, I was trying to. Yeah.
That's Michael Mannering, a good friend, and the most amazing bass player on the planet.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's one of my weekly plugs for him. So, but now I want to find out about your bass stuff, which we're not going to talk about during the show. Patrick, am I jumping in on you? Do you?
No. Do you want to pitch the next one to me? I've got one. That first sentence that Ryan had there packed a whole lot of stuff together, and I was jotting down notes as quickly as I could. I find it interesting that your auto group is under the Internet of Things. So when I think about the Internet of Things, I think of something that's connected and sending and receiving data all the time, which today I don't associate with a car at all, unfortunately. Most of them, we were just complaining about how it's $200 to go in and just to get your nav updated, and even that takes hours because they're reading it off a disk or some diagnostic port that's slow as can be. So, is part of this making cars connected devices, and what value add? What features could that give you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the next generation, the next couple of iterations of all cars will be connected. Automotive-grade electronics always falls a little behind our consumer-grade products because of the level of testing and quality control that needs to go into them. But you're already seeing, I think there's several car manufacturers out there that have over-the-air updates. I know that a lot of them do provide updates, only if you take it back to the dealership. I know that there's connected navigation systems now, where you can put a website in and it's already preloaded in your car. I've heard of cool features where parents can track from a website their kids, their teen drivers' driving habits. But that's just scratching the surface of what you can do with connected cars. What really excites me and my coworkers are vehicle to vehicle and vehicle to infrastructure communication. So imagine being able to go down the freeway, coming to a blind hill or corner, and on the other side of that is a tractor trailer that's flipped over. And in today's world, you plow right into it because you're going 70 miles an hour, right? And you don't have time to stop. But if the infrastructure knows there's an accident, the truck knows there's an accident, it starts putting out a beacon, and your car automatically starts slowing down safely, right? And all the cars behind you don't pile up. I'm here in Arizona today, and as I was driving into work, I don't normally come to Arizona quite often. They have huge dust storms here during the summer, and they actually have public service announcements that when you see a dust storm, please stop so you don't create a pileup, right? Imagine cars being able to communicate in a dust storm, knowing that when the visibility gets low and there is an accident or something in the way, just stopping everyone behind them, and again, saving lives, saving the infrastructure costs of all those huge pileups. And so we may have these conversations with our grandchildren like, oh, back in the day, we used to have these huge car pileups when fog was an issue and all these other things, and that may not be the case in the very near future.
Wow.
And
yeah,
that's why
as soon as I hear...
Yeah, anyway, that's why I get up in the morning.
That's
Cool.
amazing. I mean, that's very cool, and that's some of the stuff that I know all of us get really excited about is incorporating technology, not just as a flash or a novelty thing, but as something that improves the driver's experience, makes them safer, all of that. I want to get a grasp on kind of, I think you kind of outlined 3 or 4 different kind of areas that you work in. One of them I don't know. Was an acronym. Was it IVI?
That's in-vehicle
infotainment.
Infotainment, yes.
Okay. So one part of that is infotainment systems. One part of that you were talking about developing autonomous driving vehicles, and then I would assume, what was the other?
It was a software-defined cockpit. So yeah, so if you look at cars today, and I think even some of the cars that a lot of the folks that are listening to this or maybe working on at home, especially with electric vehicles, when you don't have all the gears and everything, and you don't have the drive shaft that you normally have to have in a car, it actually changes the way that you can design the console, right?
Sure.
So you can think of the compute needed to push about 19 high-definition screens worth of material and heads-up display, the cluster, the instrument cluster, the actual big screen that you would see in the middle. There's talks of replacing the side view mirrors with, just screens on your, in your windows, so that you don't have the wind buffeting on the side, so you save gas, save money. You have dings on your side view mirrors. You have, and also there's a lot of money with just the back end side, where a lot of car manufacturers sell to executives, and they make a lot of money creating a virtual rolling office. So the back, behind the driver, being able to do live video conferencing like we're doing today, in the seat of your car, and having a full nice experience is part of the promise of adding more compute power onto these vehicles.
That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, and I mean, we've talked about how superior cameras are to mirrors. I mean, mirrors are wonderful, but cameras have adjustable angles, can see in the dark.
That's right.
Cameras can augment the vision of a driver and make things safer, more comfortable, without a doubt.
Can zoom in on things that you need to see, right? That's the beauty of it, right?
Sure, potentially, right? But again, and even reach out through infrared or something and highlight things that your human vision wouldn't be able to see. And who doesn't want to be a superhero?
I know the other day I was test driving a car that I wish I could buy tomorrow, but it had the first night vision kind of heads-up display that I'd ever been in as a driver, and it was so distracting. I wanted it on all day because you could literally see the heat of the tires of the cars in front of you.
Really?
Like in this system, and it was just fascinating to me.
Oh, that would be very distracting, but very cool.
I know, it's always to be used for night, but I would have it on all day long looking at it. So
right, I want to see the heat signature of that. Click,
Right.
Hey, my co-host Danny Cooper couldn't make it, but he is sending me text messages and watching as he's on the road, and he wanted me to ask about Intel's efforts in autonomous vehicles, even things like automated braking and radar crews. What you guys are doing in that area?
So we are heavily involved with several companies in this area. It falls right into our strengths of, the more data you have to deal with, the more compute that you have to deal with. I mean, that's right up our alley, delivering that. Today's autonomous cars that you see on the road take a lot of compute power, and they're not very portable, and they take a lot of power. But using Moore's law, we are absolutely on the forefront of working directly with these car manufacturers and tier ones in trying to deliver a compact and affordable system that then allows us to take in all those data points, the LiDAR, the radar, so the long-range radar, the radar, the multitude of cameras, what we call surround view. We actually demonstrated a surround view system at CES this year with Jaguar Land Rover. We also have 3D camera technology that we're working with. We're even implementing our Intel Realsense 3D cameras. My VP, Doug Davis, just showed off, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago in Germany at the Automobile Electronic Congress, showing Intel Realsense camera integrated into a Range Rover, and he just walked up to it, and it did facial recognition and unlocked the car for him. But also that same technology can be used to do object detection on a road. So a car can make minute changes to whether you're going super fast or slow off-roading. Can you actually clear an obstacle? Will your bumper scrape Radars only do so much, but to have a full 3D picture of the environment around you and allowing a computer to enhance the biggest computer in the car, which is our brains, right? Make calculated decisions on, hey, am I going to park my $150,000 car right here, and will it scrape the front bumper, or am I going to go into a road or a crevice, and do I need to shift real quick or change the suspension so my wheel doesn't go into a rivet and lose traction? Those are all things we can do in real time with 3D camera technology.
Wow. Yeah, ABS is just a little tiny step in that direction, right?
That's right, and I'm also very passionate about, we know very little about what's happening with drivers inside cars, and so using the same technology, driver awareness, are you looking to the front of the car? Are you looking to the side? Are you yelling at your kids in the back? Are you distracted? Should the car take a little more control? Where are your feet to the pedals, or your hands? Are you having a heart attack? Those are the kind of things that we would all want to know. And again, it forces way to being more aware, more contextually aware, and building a safer, more productive environment for traveling in general.
Wow. Hey, Paul, you still doing okay?
Yep.
Okay.
No, this is all fascinating. I mean, I think safety is going to be the biggest thing because there's so many idiots on the road, and I think a computer can control a car much better than a human, especially with all the distractions of modern driving. So.
Yeah, that's it's funny. You hear in the news recently there's been a couple of big news items about cars almost getting in accidents, right? Autonomous vehicles.
Right.
I think the key there, which the news doesn't pick up, is that if human beings had been driving those cars, they would have actually had an accident.
Right. Exactly.
The fact that they had a close call is actually fascinating.
Yeah.
Danny wanted me to ask you one other question about Intel chips that are being used in telematics.
Okay.
That's all he asked. It seems like a broad question, so I'll let you answer it however you wish.
It is a broad question. I personally am not tied directly to telematics, but we do have, of course, both modems and chipsets slated for that industry. Combined with cars and infrastructure, it's a very, very powerful, it is going to be a very, very powerful solution. People are already using telematics and Intel technology to save money on road infrastructure, license plate monitoring, video surveillance, end-to-end delivering point systems, those kind of things. So it's definitely a big area of innovation that Intel's been focusing on.
There you go. Okay, you've used a term very, very frequently here, and I just maybe want you to define it if you can. You've said auto grade.
Yes.
And I assume that's tougher than consumer grade, which
is way tougher. It's way tougher.
But are there any certain requirements for auto grade equipment?
There are, and there's several different. Depending on if you are looking just at the SoC from a hardware perspective to a system perspective, it really depends on the environment that you're building into. Generally, auto grade means around 7 to 10 year life cycle. Generally, we're now on the 10-year life cycle, and you have to support it from -40 to 110 degrees Celsius. So imagine, so it's not Fahrenheit, -40 to 110 with very limited airflow.
Wow.
So the Ultrabooks and the mobile devices don't get anywhere near that, right? Most consumer-grade electronics, I think, now this is off the top of my memory, are down to -20 to about 75 or 80 degrees Celsius. You can read it on our website. There are industrial specs and stuff, and so that's the auto grade stuff is pretty incredible. We actually have a design center in Karlsruhe, Germany, which I just returned from. There's actually, I think we just published an article publicly. I can send a link afterwards. But that design center is part of a group of industry experts that write the Bible on how to create auto-grade solutions that last and make electronics not be the failure point of your cars or your automobiles.
Right, which in the past has been, in some cases, a terrible weak point.
That's right.
But I think we've seen a lot of advances, and a lot of that stuff get a lot better, strangely.
Yeah, it's more about, it's interesting. I started my career as a quality assurance engineer in security software, not at Intel, but a previous company. And what I find fascinating is it's to the very philosophy of just testing smarter, not testing more, right? So understanding the requirements of the system, understanding the environment that these things will be introduced into, and then very quickly adjusting as the technology matures and as it proliferates. You need to be able to handle a car being in the deserts of Africa, all the way to the rainforest of Portland, to being up in Alaska and being frozen, right? And then someone slamming on a heater, and you have to make sure that it starts up 10 years from now and doesn't crack and have a failure, especially as these systems become important to your car. They're not just the infotainment. They're not just running your nav system. They're starting your car up. They're bringing your cluster up.
Steering work, the brakes work.
Yeah, that's right.
Stuff. Yeah, it's
That's
not
right.
like, oh, that damn radio doesn't work, and you're
Yeah.
gosh.
And not to mention the ruggedness of the equipment. It gets bounced and shaken all its life, and it has to be weatherproof. I mean, anything that's outside of the cabin, if it's not totally sealed on all the connectors, corrosion gets in, and then you have all kinds of headaches. So
that's right. Humidity,
it's tough to
dry.
build.
Absolutely. Yep.
Salt air.
Even just going through a car wash is the worst thing you could do to electronics, right? But you and I, we all see the lines of people putting their cars through a car wash.
Sure. Well, I mean, you do the DIY thing, right? And you're standing with that high pressure hose.
Oh yeah, straight on the engine compartment. Straight on the engine compartment.
Yeah, that's this.
Straight on the engine computer.
Yeah.
I'm doing this to a Prius with a high voltage battery in it. This couldn't possibly bring any problems, could it? No.
No, not at all.
Get that dirty spot. So, autonomous driving is the subject that everybody loves to talk about.
That's right.
Hey, self-driving cars. Tell me what you guys are doing in that area.
Well, Intel, of course, has had over a 40-year passion of driving technology innovation because it's in our best interest. And absolutely, autonomous driving is definitely an area of focus for us. We are investing heavily. We're working with several key partners in this area. We are trying to deliver guidance in the industry for algorithms, mathematical algorithms, compute, system design is a big deal. You may have to redesign parts of the entire car to make this actually happen, right? You may have to redesign the power bus to be able to supply enough power to do everything that we need to do to make it successful. And then how do you make this manageable and even something that is cost efficient so that you can have it all the way from your low tier cars to make it just safe to the higher premium cars where it has additional features where it picks you up from the mall or something right from your cell phone. So we are definitely ingrained in all of that, and I think it's not just what's in the car, but it also ties into the part of the cloud infrastructures that are out there. So we're also working with cloud providers and the connected car infrastructure. So how can we use the cloud to enhance the decision making that's in the vehicle, right? Cool. And so it's going to be pretty incredible in the next couple of years watching this come to fruition. And of course, it'll start out slowly adding, just what we call soft ADAS, where the driver's still totally in control. And until fully autonomous, which is going to be in the 2020s sometime, right? Whenever some of the legalities get bypassed and some of the technology arrives that will make it possible to do some of the real-time calculations that need to happen.
Well, and obviously drivers need to adjust to that.
That's right, and we have an entire design center actually based in Oregon focused on that very thing about how can we deliver this technology without what we call creating driver anxiety, right? We're all geeks here on this call, right? Yeah. And probably a majority of the people listening to this are geeks and we're passionate about technology. We're probably the first ones that all our relatives call up when they have a problem with their cable modem, right? But the rest of the world is not that way. They actually get in the car and they have trepidation when they see something new, or when something doesn't act the way, or doesn't just work, or it has a different button, or it doesn't have buttons. How do you ease the drivers into this, right? Not only the young people, but also the existing, the maturing drivers, where this could actually extend some of the senior citizens' ability to drive safely, right? So how do you make this work from across a large swath of type of people that need to be doing this? So we are studying that and working very closely with a lot of the car manufacturers on what works and what doesn't work.
Wow.
Well,
I can't wait for autonomous cars.
Yeah, I think autonomous cars is going to change everything. I mean, if you think about it now, most people spend maybe an hour or two a day in a car, and you have this massive expense. Now, if you have autonomous cars that are owned by Uber that you just click when you need a ride and it shows up and takes you around, there's going to be a lot of people who will choose not to own a car or not to own two cars in the household. And they can make it cost effective to use a car service that's always there when you need it. You never have to wait more than 2 minutes for a ride. That could change society in a big way.
Yeah, it's also going to change traffic patterns.
Yep.
You can imagine if any of you have been to Shanghai or to Mexico City or to some of the big cities where they have gridlock for multiple days, if they change their infrastructure to be almost fully autonomous, you can fit a lot more traffic in there. You have fewer accidents, and you can actually have preloading of different type of traffic patterns to make sure that deliveries get there, and it's really going to change the way that the productivity of the human species, in essence, right? As you said, like those number of hours that we waste traveling when we don't really need to be stuck in traffic, right?
Yeah.
And cars will have more creature comforts. The back seat will be set up as a work area, with a desk and a coffee machine, and it'll be like you get in this thing and it takes you to work, and while you're on your way, you do something else. You watch a movie.
That's right.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, if you want to drive, go to the track. Otherwise, just get chauffeured.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty good.
Well, and really, when you think about it, who doesn't like to be chauffeured? Yeah, driving is fun sometimes, but when you're going to work, do you really want to work that 5-speed in traffic? Probably not. Danny wanted me to ask you, in your estimation, how far are we away from autonomous cars actually hitting the market? I think you addressed that, but let me ask that question explicitly.
Everyone is saying different things, but I truly think the horizon's going to be between 2020 and 2025, and this is not Intel speaking. This is Ryan Tabrah's estimation. So that's generally where the technology will land. And as I said, depending whether it's closer to 2020 or 2025, will heavily depend on society and laws changing. I mean, for instance, you all do know that it's not against the law to drive with your hands off the steering wheel. You know that, right? It's not against the law. There's no law that says you can. It doesn't say you must have your hands on the steering wheel. But a cop can actually pull you over if they feel you're driving unsafely. So if a cop sees you driving with no hands on the wheel, and they don't know you have an autonomous car, they can hypothetically just pull you over for being an idiot, right? So, or they think you are, perceived, creating a danger. So those are the things we have to work out as a society, and it's going to be different in each region, state, country. It'll be interesting, and the return on investment, as I call it, to the infrastructure will drive this to happen sooner rather than later. If Los Angeles could save money and potentially eradicate most accidents on their freeway systems, they no longer have to have the California Highway Patrol, just going and dealing with car accidents. They could actually serve the public, right, and create a safe environment. A majority of our cops today, our hospital infrastructure, everything is geared around responding to automobile accidents.
Sure. I mean, and I think you make a really good point in that some of the biggest changes with autonomous driving are sociological. They're not hardware or software. Those those challenges are relatively easy in a sense. It's going to be changing the perception of the car, how people perceive their role in interaction with it. Is that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, remember, I liken it to how many people said they didn't need full connected internet. They were fine with dial-up, right?
Right.
Um, I remember convincing my mom to finally pay a little extra to have like fully connected cable modem, and she never went back, right? I think it's going to be the same way with autonomous cars. You know, it's going to be for every person. It's going to be a journey that you're going to like. I don't want a new car. I don't need it. I don't need it. That's bonkers. I don't need computers driving for me. And then once you do it and you experience the safety and the reliability and the ease of use, it'll probably change you forever, and you'll probably never go back to just a regular car. Right.
Well, it's like 5 years ago. People were like, I don't need one of those smartphone things. I have a phone. I can, make calls. I can send texts. And nowadays, grandma has a smartphone. So.
Yeah. She may be only using it part of it, but at least she's
Yeah.
using it, right?
Yeah.
And taking pictures and posting to Facebook.
But I think one of the challenges, Ryan, is the legalities. And this might be wrong, but I heard that like auto manufacturers, even like the check engine light has to be a discrete bulb. It can't be on an LCD panel that pops up only when it's needed. It kind of always has to be present on the dash and has to light up if there's a fault. And that's NHTSA or someone enforces that. Is that a true statement, or have you heard anything
I don't
like
know
that?
the exact legality around that, and again, it is different between every country and region, right? So I know that's not the case for everywhere. And they are changing that as the electronics and some of these guidelines of making silicon and some of the instrument cluster designs have shown their reliability. Those kind of things will be kind of a pass requirement.
Yeah, I've heard this similar sorts of stories. The first when Aptera came out with their car, they had cameras, and then when they were trying to go to market, they had to switch it to actual mirrors. And the Tesla Model S prototype that went on tour that I saw here in Portland was the same. It had cameras, and then they had to switch it when they went to production and put mirrors on because of legal reasons.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the technology's ahead of the regulators. So.
Frequently is.
Yeah.
And it's for a reason. I mean, I think all of these things need to be well thought out, right? Make sure that it gets its due process. So while it might be frustrating for the gearheads here on the call or on the show, it's still just exciting. We should all just be part of it and sharing the positiveness of it and the potential upside impact to all of this, right?
You'd mentioned security, and I think that's something we should probably touch on as these computers are doing more for us, facial recognition to unlock the car and autonomous driving and other things. What prevents me from, taking a picture of Russell and holding it in front of my face and having it unlock his car for me?
Yeah, that's right.
I just stole Russell's car.
So security always has multiple depths of security, and it depends on what you're trying to do. Unlocking a car is absolutely a security checkpoint, and then also starting the car. Doing other things with the car, you might be able to fool it with a photograph, but we have Intel Realsense camera technology that we're already working with, as I said, with Jaguar Land Rover, that you can't fool it with a photograph. It would know from a 3D perspective that it's not a live thing and it's not a live image in front of you. And in fact, the Realsense technology is so accurate it actually can detect a pulse. So hypothetically, it would know if someone just stood up your dead body in front of a camera trying to unlock your car. So it depends on the security parameters that you as a user can put, the OEM can choose, the dealership. It's a kind of exciting time because the same technology you've been using for computers, your mobile phone, will probably be customized to the situation, right? So. And just enough security so it doesn't get in the way, but maybe you have a higher security level when you're out in the town, right? Maybe it's harder to unlock your car when you're out in the town or some strange place you've never been to, but when you drive over to a friend's house, you're in a safe neighborhood, whatever, it's pretty easy to open your car, or easier, right?
Yeah, if it's in your own driveway, you should have less hurdles.
Interesting.
Yes.
Or if you've had 3 beer, the car won't open and you're stuck to the sober.
That's what we're really excited about too. You know, the state of drunkenness is not just caused by alcohol, right? I think all of us have, anyone that's been a driver, whether you're too tired, exhausted, whatever, you know, it's only afterwards you're like, maybe I should have, you know, maybe waited or just slept before driving. That again, the car can be aware of that and actually help you out in those situations.
You know, people hack things for good and bad reasons. And with all of this comes so if everybody has autonomous cars, is the most popular hack going to be how to break the speed limit?
I think it'll, and again, this is a Ryan Tabrah point of view, not an Intel point of view. It'll be more like you have to pay extra to have it unlocked, because already today you can unlock it, right? You can buy a car today, and if you want it to come without the speed limiter, you can pay extra, and it comes unlocked, and you sign a little waiver, and it's unlocked. And then if you want to drive at 150 miles an hour on public roads, you suffer the consequences, right?
That's interesting, because I mean, I'm sure that's going to be an issue. A lot of people are like, I don't want to be limited to going the speed limit. And an autonomous car, I'm going to guess by definition, is not going to break traffic laws.
Yeah, you bring up a good subject that I think is just starting to hit some of the blogs that I've read where, for instance, I drive a car where I got it chipped to get a little bit more horsepower out of it, right? A little bit better gas mileage, right? That'll be either just a feature you can pay from the dealership, but it's no longer going to be, you know, some hack in his or her own garage, reverse engineering something, right? Because that's just not going to be secure to boot up someone else's software or something else going on. I'm sure that if there's still an environment where people will pay extra to have an unlocked car so you can do some mods, I'm sure that's going to happen, right? This is the natural transgression of the vehicle, much like our computers, right? You pay a little extra to get an unlocked version of our CPUs, right?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, the latest core processors. I'm going to be dating myself. I used to buy just regular Celeron chips, and they just came unlocked, right? And you could tweak the turbos and stuff, and go past the warranty and get, you know, almost Pentium speeds with a Celeron. And now today, the Intel Core architecture, they sell special K processors. They have a K next to it, and you pay a little extra, and then you can tweak the turbos and everything you want to do, right?
Wow.
So there will be room for enthusiasts in technology.
Hey, Paul.
Yep.
For some reason, I'm feeling like you have something to say here.
No, I think it's all exciting stuff. I mean,
Okay.
The thing that's going to be weird is companies like Intel that are progressive and have cutting edge technology, and then you go to the automakers that, you know, like part of it is the lead time in designing a car, but when their stuff comes out, it seems like yesterday's news, and to try and get that cycle closer is going to be a challenge, you know, because everybody gets in a car with nav today and says, geez, the smartphone nav I have is way better than what the factory puts in the car, because the one in the car was designed 4 years ago, you know. So I think that's Intel's challenge, is to get that product life cycle closer to the market, you know, when the new models come out.
Yeah, I think there's a vision.
Or have an open architecture. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, the open architecture, the open software stack, allowing the automotive industry to move to where the market serves it. Right. There might be different even geos that want the kind of older 7-year life cycle of a vehicle to newer ones that are more tuned to a modularized approach and rapid upgrading. It's all going to depend on where it's going to go, and Intel is going to be there as a partner for a variety of companies to make sure that they have the right hardware and software in place to do whatever they want to do and their customers need.
And with the connectivity, hopefully you can make it easy to update. I mean, just this week we had a customer with a Prius V with Entune. It's an old version. There's apparently been 17 revisions since then. He goes to the dealer. The dealer has no clue how to update it, upgrade it. There's nothing he can do. You know, he spends 2 hours on the web, and he's frustrated, you know, and it's got to be more seamless for the consumer. It should almost say, like when you turn on your phone, it says, "Hey, there's a new update. Can I install it?" And you click yes, and that's it. Um, and part of that, I'm sure, is Toyota wanting to do that for whatever reason, but it just frustrates the consumer.
Absolutely. I think the first cars will be more manual over-the-air upgrades as needed, or from the dealership. But I personally feel even the Android updates that are pushed over to my phone and stuff, they scare regular consumers. They don't even do them still, right? I personally feel that for this to be a long-term solution, it has to be almost under the background. Like, you park your car at night, and your car takes care of itself. Maybe it drives itself, gets its oil changed if it still has oil, it gets its battery changed, whatever, right? So it goes, finds a charging spot, just keeping Patrick happy.
Thank you.
And yeah, and does things for you while you're not actively driving the car, or it can be sitting there in your house and being that connected or server on wheels, in essence, making your house more connected and doing stuff for you while it's sitting in your driveway or your car garage.
Well, we are running close to out of time, so let me.
Can I get one more in?
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say, let's everybody get one more in.
All right, cool. So, Ryan, you'd mentioned autonomous driving, and I know that autonomous driving, before it ever actually becomes standard, is going to have to be significantly better than a human, because if anything goes wrong, there's going to be lawsuits galore. And you talked about how one of the hurdles is getting those legal issues and insurance issues figured out. So now if you have an autonomous car and something unforeseen happens and it gets into this case, this is a classic philosophy question where if you swerve to the left, you kill one person, you swerve to the right, you kill three people. You now have to codify that. And how do you value which way to go? Or you go straight and you hit the pylon and kill the driver instead of running over some of the other civilians or pedestrians or whatever you want. So how do you decide what to program?
Some of the greatest minds at Intel are working on that very problem to make sure that it's industry acceptable, both on the robotics side and on the autonomous driving side. So I'm excited to see the same, the answer to that. If I had the answer, I would not be in product management. I'd probably be stuck in some R&D lab. So that's above my pay grade.
Yeah, it is a deep philosophical problem, and who knows what any human would do? I mean, there isn't
a right answer, right? Yeah. And then who's liable?
That's a brilliant question, Patrick. It really is, and I think that the thing that automating these systems does is it gives a computer a chance to make a better decision than a human might.
Or at least give the humans a better chance at responding appropriately. That's what I also like to say is, like, you give a human being an extra second to respond to an emergency, you get rid of about 70 to 90% of all accidents. We only need a second, right? But it's usually when it comes out of nowhere, or it's too late to react or to brake in time, right? So define autonomous, right? Is it ever going to be truly autonomous? Maybe in closed systems, maybe just on the freeway. It's going to be a very, very interesting future, and I personally can't wait to be part of it.
Yeah, it's a spectrum to get there, and then when if you did have a person in that position, they have to make a split-second decision. They might make a panicked decision, where at least if you have people that have thought about all of this way ahead of time, and if you have to make this Sophie's choice, you have something, well, okay, we think this is the best one.
Yep.
Very cool. Thanks, Patrick. Paul?
Yeah, so I guess my question is, are you guys doing all this invisibly, sort of under the guise of the manufacturers, or are you going to leverage your brand, like have like an Intel Inside sticker on the back of the car or on the touch screen? Because the consumer, has respect for Intel, just like Bose Audio or JBL Audio. So is your brand going to be out there in the eyes of the consumer, or is it going to be buried in the firmware of the car?
Already we're seeing a change with the auto industry, because the auto industry brands are as respected or as widely known as the Intel brand, right? Saying one is more important than the other is absolutely something that can't be really judged upon. But like I said recently, I think BMW actually invited, the BMW group actually invited our VP to be part of the Automobile Electronic Congress to show off the work we've been doing with BMW. So I think car manufacturers are understanding the value of choosing the right silicon partners and industry partners to work with, so again, to help consumers embrace the new technology, right? So if consumers already trust us for their compute and everything, it's a natural trust to their car. So the Internet of Important Things, I think you'll see a strong pull for consumers to get a little more involved in what's underneath the hood.
Right, because I'd rather have a Toyota with a Bose audio system than a Toyota audio system,
Correct.
And not sure if I trust Ford's computing division versus Intel's computing power. So, but I'm a geek, so I guess we'll see what happens.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to quick check that. Nothing there. And I'm going to say thank you very much, Ryan. That was an amazing hour. And
that was fun.
Appreciate you spending the time with us this week. I mean, we could talk for probably another hour, but
I could do. This is stuff that I love. That's
I think
I can't believe
have dinner too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 7 o'clock there. You work a long day, I'm sure. So seriously, we would love to have you back on if you want to bring some more stuff when you're back at your home base. You are welcome anytime to come on and talk about what Intel's doing, because that's what we're here for. We're very interested in that stuff.
Cool.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Keep living the dream, guys.
Oh, that's us. More technology.
That's right. It's a good time to be a geek. That's for sure.
I was just saying that the other night. Like, what an amazing time it is. Like for all the other things, the last 10, 15 years and the next 10 or 15 years, it's just incredible.
We're living the sci-fi that we grew up watching and reading about, right? That's what's incredible.
I don't have my flying car, but I do have a supercomputer that fits in my pocket.
Yeah, I know.
And I can talk to anyone in the world for almost free.
Look at this. We have a virtual, show, and I've never even met you, right? So.
And 20 years ago, it would have cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars in cameras and ISDN lines and whatnot to make this happen. Now we're doing it over silly modems. It's amazing. Shout-outs. Patrick, take it and run with it, babe.
Yep, I am with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can check us out at oeva.org, and we're on Facebook and Twitter and all over the place.
Mr. Guzik, we can hear you. We just can't see you.
That's right. You can't see me this week, but I'm with Boulder Hybrids, specialty shop in Boulder, Colorado, where we work on all hybrid cars and electric vehicles.
And just in case you forgot, that's boulderhc.com.
That's right. Thanks, Russell.
Ryan, you get to do a shout-out, too.
Intel.com.
Never heard of that.
Small little company. I really appreciate you guys having me on here. Anyone is welcome to contact me on Twitter. I love talking about this stuff and connecting with developers and folks out there that are passionate about this stuff. And I do have a blog somewhere on Intel.com, but Google, Tabrah and Intel, and you'll probably find it. It's probably easier to do it that way.
Absolutely. Yeah. Do check it out. You can follow Ryan at, is it red_stapler on Twitter?
That's it. Yep. Red_stapler. That's Office Space. It's to remind myself. It was my gamer tag when I used to be a pretty big gamer, and it reminded me not to ever have a job where I had two bosses telling me I did something wrong that was insignificant. So that's what the red stapler is about.
Right on. So I've got a few things. Since Cooper isn't here, if you have a Prius and you're not getting accessories at the Prius Chat shop, you should be, because you're not getting stuff that's as cool. So visit them at priuschat.com/shop. Buy your Prius your Prius accessories from Danny Cooper. You can visit him at priuschat.com. As always, our thanks go to Michael Mannering for our theme music. You can visit him at manthing.com. Go buy his CDs on CD Baby or iTunes. Dude deserves it and has given us free music for 5 years. Thanks, Michael. You can visit us online. I'm sorry?
I said Tony's not here, but we have a couple new likes on Facebook. Dave Hawkins. Yeah, and then Austin Kinzer's watching live and found us. So, hi, Austin.
Hey, Austin! Awesome. Thank you, Patrick. I always forget that if Tony's not here, so I appreciate you jumping in there. Uh-oh. Did Skynet just take over at Intel in Arizona, Ryan?
I think I've been here for too long. I think they turned the lights off.
The Terminators are coming. We got to end this so you can get out of there.
That's right.
Let's see. Visit us at whatdrives.us. You can download or stream the show there. It's obviously an audio version or in video version. You can watch us on YouTube. You can watch us live every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Google Hangouts on air. If you subscribe automatically through iTunes or Stitcher or one of your podcatchers, please maybe drop us a nice review. So thanks again to Patrick and Paul. Paul, who bravely showed up in audio only format this week. And most of all, thank you, Ryan. Seriously, dude, thank you for coming on. You were awesome.
Thanks. Thanks, everyone.
Absolutely. So that's it for this week. Download us next week and find out what drives us.